welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Modern at the request of Patreon subscriber Mr. Toots, and this is Golgari Hexmage. Vampire Hexmage is a special little card from Zendikar. 2/1 first strike for black, and you could sacrifice this to remove all counters from target permanent. This card is part of the reason Dark Depths is banned in Modern. This card completely destroyed the extended format it was legal in, alongside Dark Depths. Still to this day, there is a legacy deck called Turbo Depths that uses Vampire Hexmage, but it turns out there are things with counters on them other than Dark Depths in Magic the Gathering, and Mr. Toots correctly realized that Impending puts time counters on a permanent, which means that if you impend your Overlord of the Balemurk and pick up a Vampire Hexmage, you can sack the Hexmage on the very next turn, and your Overlord will immediately become a 5/5 who can attack and get value. This interaction is not dissimilar from the Felia Overlord interaction in Orzhov Sewer, which is a top deck in the format right now. But that's not enough reason to put Vampire Hexmage in a deck, so we also have Invasion of Ikoria. This interaction was identified immediately, and some people tried it when March of the Machines first came out. Battles have siege counters on them, and you can remove all the siege counters by sacrificing Vampire Hexmage. Invasion of Ikoria, GGX, when it enters, search your library and or graveyard for a non-human creature with mana value X or less, put it onto the battlefield. For 4 mana, you can tutor a Vampire Hexmage from your library or graveyard, and then immediately sacrifice it, removing all the counters from Invasion of Ikoria, which then casts Zilortha, I should have practiced that before I said it out loud live. Zilortha, Apex of Ikoria, who is an 8/8 reach, and for each non-human creature you control, you may have that creature assign combat damage as though it wasn't blocked. Giant monster gets the game done quick. Oh, here we have this card draw engine and this tutor engine that both pop off with Vampire Hexmage, but neither is embarrassing on its own either, and just tucked it into this Golgari value shell. Grist is a banger. Eternal Witness is a human, unfortunately. Can't tutor it with Invasion, but it does pop with Overlord. Malevolent Rumble finds basically all the cards in the deck. Nethergoyf can get all the way up to 8. I think the only thing we're missing from this deck is a Kindred card, and we have all the other card types represented. Nethergoyf can get huge. Overlord or Emperor of Bones. This is a metagame choice. There's a lot of stuff in the graveyards right now. There's Flages, there's Breaches, there's cards, there's Orzhov Sewer that has their own Overlord. Attacking the graveyard's good here. Plus, this is just a big creature for cheap, and it pops in off the Invasion. You can also use Hexmage to take the +1 counters off it and adapt it again, if that is of value to do. You have your own Troll of Khazad-dûms to pop with this. A lot of fun little Golgari synergies here. Is Golgari synergy good enough to compete in the high-power Modern format? I don't know. But as we've seen, Orzhov synergy is good enough to compete in the Modern format, and this deck has nuttier nut draws than that deck. Its tutor package is a little worse, but I think drawing comparisons to the Orzhov Blink Sewer deck right now is pretty reasonable with trying something like this. I hope to make a lot of big creatures quickly with Vampire Hexmage, even though they're not 20/20s. Thanks a lot, Modern ban list. But 8/8s and 5/5s that draw cards every turn are both pretty dope too. Let's get into these games. This is Golgari Hexmage from Mr. Toots. I'm on the draw in round 1. I'm going to keep this hand that has disruptive elements into card draw elements. That's all I want out of a deck. Thoughtseize You, Overlord of the Balemurk. Commercial District. So this could be Breach, it could be some creativity, or even just like a value Jund deck. I don't know. Thoughtseize You. Let's find out. Or it could be this garbage. I'm going to take Utopia Sprawl and hope they don't do anything for a while. We've got some Eldrazi situation, tucked the World Breaker into a Sanctum of Ugin. Ooh, the combo. I was thinking about what land I would fetch, but now it's very clearly Overgrown Tomb. It probably was Overgrown Tomb anyway, even without much thinking. I would like to pay 2 life, and I would like to impend this Overlord. Don't worry, opponent, you don't have to think about this for 5 turns. Or do you? A trigger. I would like to use the ability. I can get back Troll or Netherglyph. I actually do want lands, so I'll take the Troll. 1 counter comes off my Overlord. Sanctum of Ugin. I drew a land anyway. Okay. Now I'm gonna cycle Troll. I don't have 3 mana to spend here anyway, so cycle the Troll. Play Hexmage, Overlord, get to work. Oh, I forgot Overlord can get other stuff. I could have added a Netherglyph this turn. That was a punt. I should not have cycled Troll. It's fine. I'm going off. Vampire Hexmage, use it immediately. They have no priority to Kozilek's Return me. In for 5. And this was already in play, so it's not affected by Summoning Sickness. I would like to use the ability. It is affected by Summoning Sickness if I impend it and Hexmage it on the same turn, so that's not useful. I'm going to get Emperor Bones. That can mush them for a pile of damage next turn. Or no, it can't. The Kozilek's Return actually does check that. Disappointing. Kozilek's command modes are Make, Idiots, and Scry. Sure. Well, main deck graveyard hate for you. So their hand is Forest, Kozilek's Return, and two unknowns. Kozilek's Return and Kozilek's Command in the same deck is confusing. That shouldn't be allowed. Kozilek's Return, Forest, a card they just scried to the top, and 2 random cards. Okay. They have not taken an action. Second main, they suddenly have an action. This is an enchantment that World Breaker can exile. Disappointing. Oh, wow. Or they could just Kozilek's Command for 5. They're making dopes and exiling my Overlord. And tutoring with Sanctum of Light. Sanctum of Ugin. Sanctum of Light. Where did that come from? They did tap out of Kozilek's Return, though, which means I can get a big crack in with Emperor of Bones. They tutored Emrakul the Promised End. How close are they to casting that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I guess they're literally there, huh? I don't love that. I could play 2 Emperor of Bones, exile their 2 Kozilek's commands. That would take 2 card types out of their graveyard, but that leaves me just wide open to Kozilek's Return. Yeah, that's not great. And all these blockers are really good. Disappointing. How bad is it if they Emrakul me? I guess is the next question. And what can I do about it? Yeah, Thoughtseize would be good, but I can't find that with an Overlord. What if I just play 2 Emperors? If they Kozilek's Return, they lose all their spawns. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to play 2 Emperors and eat their 2 Kozilek's commands. Bone Zone, move to combat, exile your Kozilek's command and your Kozilek's command. Kozilek's Return is an instant, but it's not a kindred instant. They could rebuy World Breaker and cast it, and then Emrakul is just 1,000 years away. Talisman of Impulse. Kozilek's Return. Didn't even float mana. Get it out of there. Okay. That was a weird turn, but I think it made sense. I kind of exposed a bunch of resources to exchange things that I think I'm okay with. The Kozilek's Return in the graveyard is something I have to acknowledge. I think here I'm just going to impend an Overlord, buy back Emperor of Bones, play Emperor of Bones, exile Kozilek's Return, and then next turn I can rebuy Hexmage. Fetching first, so I don't accidentally mill over my value engines. I would like a card back. I would like Emperor of Bones back. Enter the Bone Zone. Move to combat, slurp up that Kozilek's Return. Cool. They're actually really close to dead. So I'm representing an attack next turn for 5, 9. Yeah, I actually have lethal. They obviously have cards in their hand and they can do stuff, but I have lethal here. Stomping Ground tapped. Emrakul in the grip. 1 unknown. Okay. I do not have lethal if I Thoughtseize. I would like to get back my Vampire Hexmage. I could also just Thoughtseize them and hit them with their own Emrakul. That might be better style points. Alright, fine. I'll do it. That rules. Ooh, this is cooler. It is truly not. Yeah, none of this shit matters. Okay. I'm going to take Emrakul, and I'm going to move to beginning of combat, exile Emrakul, and then before attacks, adapt, and attack for more than your life. That was sick. Just had to solve it that one turn where, playing into the Kozilek's return cost me 2 Emperor of Bones, but it cost them the entire game. That was cool. Okay, what do I do here? They have some artifacts in their deck. They have some creatures in their deck. Mostly feel like I'm already doing what I'm supposed to. Pick Your Poison can kill things like Emrakul, but only if I draw it on the turn in between when they play Emrakul and steal my turn, and then draw it on the turn where I have my turn back. Yeah, I think I might just submit my main deck again. Though Fatal Push is so bad it has to come out. So I guess I have to find like literally anything to bring in instead of those. Haywire Might, probably good. Collector Oof, not irrelevant. Toxic Deluge is interesting. We did see them using their graveyard. Like, Deluge for 1 will kill any number of spawns while leaving basically all my creatures alive. Hexmage is the only X1 in my deck. Haywire Might, some insects. All right, I actually have a lot of X1s, but it stands that it would be worse for them than it is for me. Collector Oof versus Surgical. I'll try a Surgical, I guess. They probably play Malevolent Rumble, and I might be able to spike something good. And we've seen Kozilek's Return as a card that is very powerful from the graveyard. Game 1 was awesome, though. We really popped off and did the thing. May all my games start with Thoughtseize into triple Overlord and Hexmage. Well, ask and you shall receive. I have Thoughtseize, Overlord, Hexmage again. A little more awkward this time. Except I hope to draw an untapped land in my first 2 rips here. Thoughtseize you. Karn and Kozilek's Command. I think I'm better against Karn than I am against Kozilek's Command. I'll take that. Vampire Hexmage can also remove all the counters from Planeswalkers, which makes them die. Commercial District, kept their card. Untapped land, easy money. Instead of cycling and playing Nethergoyf, I will now impend Overlord of the Balemurk. Done a lot of damage to myself here. And there's nothing I could get back. I milled over 3 non-creatures and a second Overlord, which you cannot return. They can definitely cast Karn here. We'll see what they do with it, or if they've drawn another better card since then. I did mill over my basic forest, just have to pay attention to that in case I need to fetch and my life total is important later. Writhing Chrysalis, that's in, off this Eldrazi Temple. And here, I will not make the same mistake I made last game. I drew the land, which means I can play Hexmage, attack, and then play Nethergoyf. Hexmage, and at least the Hexmage will be in my graveyard here to rebuy, so I'm not going to miss on Overlord. Yes, I have Grist the Hunger Tide and Vampire Hexmage. I can attack again next turn. I don't really have creatures I want to sacrifice. Yeah, I'll take the Hexmage back. Writhing Chrysalis can get up to 4/5 right now. My Nethergoyf, quietly 6/7, hits the earth with a giant shattering boom. Puts a dent in the lunch table when that one resolves. 1 mana 6/7 on turn 3. Here's the Sanctum of Ugin. They have 7 mana or 8 for Eldrazi here. Khorne. Okay, what do they got here? Do they have a removal spell? Do they have an ensnaring bridge? Do they have something that combo kills me next turn somehow? Are they going for graveyard hate? Plenty of reasonable choices. Ensnaring bridge, all right. In my graveyard, I have Thoughtseize. Yeah, nothing that really helps with this Eternal Witness. The Hexmage can finish off Karn. My deck has Boseiju and 2 Haywire Mites in it. Invasion of Ikoria. I could, once I achieve stability, I can Eternal Witness back Invasion of Ikoria, and then Invasion of Ikoria for Haywire Mite. Go for the Throat. That is not the worst card I've ever seen. It's not great, though. Swamp Cycle, grab the basic, Swamp, Hexmage, kill Karn, play another Nethergoyf. I want them to die immediately when their Ensnaring Bridge goes away. Another Karn, okay. If they get the graveyard hate this time, it gets a lot worse for me here. Liquid metal coating. Okay. That will be a problem soon. And they can like Rashad import me this turn and then start blowing up my lands next turn. Okay, I think I just have to let this happen. Malevolent Rumble. This could dig. Oh, Haywire Might doesn't even work with Karn in play. Never mind. Shit. Right, what do I have to do here? I guess I have to Rumble for Beseju. Alright, Rumble. Collector Oof. LMAO. I'll take that. And this will at least neutralize the experience of liquid metal coating. The deck certainly has big draws in it. Okay. Kozilek's Return unlocks liquid metal coating. And now my lands start to die. So just gotta rip up a Beseju. Oh, Ghost Quarter, that's so annoying. I milled over. Or I think I have one more swamp. No, it's one of each. No, it is. There are two swamps, but I milled two of them. Bummer. That card normally would not affect me very much. Oh, that card's good. All right, we're right back in it. Vampire Hexmage, MVP, MVP. All right, my opponent is Hellbent, but they do have a Sanctum of Ugin. If they find anything to do, it will cascade into more things to do quickly. Beseju. Another Netherglyph. All right, you're in there, buddy. Oh no, they're spending mana. That was such an insane draw. That exiles one of my last remaining lands and triggers the Sanctum. I understand they had a lot of big rips there, but like, what if they just draw a land or two and give me a chance to do anything? Okay, they chose to do the Kozilek's Return thing, which kills my Overlord and their Chrysalis. Right, Mortuary, Windswept Teeth, I guess I'll keep it. I did not bother to check if there's still fetchables in my deck. There's at least one other Underground Mortuary. That's a lot of juice. They tutored Sowing Mycospawn last turn. Oh, okay. I should not have played that land. Whoops. I didn't even look. I said that was happening and then just forgot it was happening. They still have to win somehow. Bajuka Bog, that is effective, but not really what the game's about right now. And this format doesn't have Wasteland in it. That's a relief. So the Sowing Mycospawn actually does only kill one land and not two. There's almost a cool thing I can do here, but I'm one short. This fetch land that I'm going to draw, I could attack with my 3 Netherglyphs, then fetch and go for the throat in combat. But this Netherglyph only cares about my graveyard, not both. If it was both graveyards, if I could count this World Breaker, but that's not how the card works. All right, Rumble, that's a huge hit. Devourer of Destiny and another Mycospawn found off of that. Oh no, that was the same Mycospawn. They took Devourer of Destiny. I don't think I care that much about this. One of my many 0/1s is gone. Sure. You got me. And now I will fetch for Underground Mortuary and try to get back in this. Another land. I'll take it. I'm not going to argue with a land at all here. Now I'll probably start arguing with lands. I can go for the throat of any of these creatures if I start to be worried about that. Oh no, Rumble. They found Emrakul. My hand's bad though. Like, I'm not even worried about Emrakul, honestly. Okay, this has protection from instants, which means I have to go for the throat something else. And World Breaker, they can buy back from the graveyard. I'm gonna go for the throat this Devourer of Destiny. And then I will fetch now before my opponent can fail to find on my behalf. And now they can play Eternal Witness with no target. Oh no, I drew the best possible card. Oh, it doesn't matter anymore. Their board's way bigger than mine. Okay, so this cannot exile itself. They could exile their Talisman. Oh, no, that's even worse. They could free up their own shit with my card. But I was betrayed. This does make the... Oh, shit. All right, never mind, never mind. That was so bad. That draw was such a fucking beating. Okay. What a wild ride that was. Okay. I went from not caring about Emrakul at all to being immediately dead because I drew the card I was looking for most of the game. Kind of sweet, though. Abrupt Decays, now that Ensnaring Bridge specifically is on my radar. Maybe it should have been the whole time. Surgical Extraction is not good. They do have the Kozilek's Return. They do have the World Breakers. I think Collector Roof is actually mid, and that's not what I really want to do. And I have Abrupt Decay in now. Oh no, a no-lander. Got him all again. One lander with Thoughtseize. I am going to keep this, even though I recognize the potential downside of it. I'm going to bottom go for the throat, and I'm going to lead on Netherglyph. So I want to apply pressure, and Thought Seizing them on turn 2 does that better than turn 1. Like, they're probably just going to play some land and pass this turn. Eldrazi Temple pass. I'm like a mind reader out here. Boom, Malevolent Rumble is kind of busto. Now I'm going to Rumble and try to get a big Netherglyph swing. Overlord is the reason for the season. Windswept Heath gives me the biggest attack next turn and guarantees action on the turn after. Okay, I'm going to take Windswept Heath, actually, and attack for 4. Cool how fast that happens. Dismember, okay. Just large enough. They were messing with fire on that one. They almost missed. If the second Rumble was like an artifact. Oh, wow. They missed a land drop now? You're cooked, kid. Get out of here. Thought sees you. Look at this handful of cards. I'm going to take Kozilek's Command. That's the one I least want to play against here. And get Overgrown Tomb, Overlord of the Balemurk. I would like to use the ability. I'll take Vampire Hexmage, please and thank you. And I'll attack with my spawn. Got him. Can we get a concession? Yes, we can. That was a bold hand to keep, actually. I don't know if I like that. I guess you can just draw a card with Kozilek's Command, and Dismember is not nothing. That was sweet, though. On to the next round. This deck is doing it. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. On the draw in round 2, I have an Overlord. I'm going to keep Misty Rainforest. Are we breaching? Ooh, Netherglyph. Well, that gives me some exciting curve potential here. Just play my 0-1, and then next turn it is suddenly enormous. Unless it gets Unholy Heated now. Which is fine. I'm a deck full of creatures. Meticulous Archive. What modern deck plays this? Oh, okay. This is not Domain, so they can't quite Binding yet. I'm going to go with the basic. Overlord. Can't get Spell Pierced. I would like to use the ability, get back another Netherglyph. That doesn't change the size of the one in play. Because Overlord is a creature and an enchantment. And step 2 in the narrative. So we're against some sort of control deck. Some Leyline Binding energy, something or other is happening over there. Is there a, whatever the Energy Oloran deck is there a deck that's using that right now? Maybe that's what's happening. Ooh, missed a land drop. Okay. I am going to attack with my Mighty Netherglyph. Dress down. Okay. It's a less Mighty Netherglyph now. Has no abilities at all. But this does give me a wide open window to resolve Grist against this control deck. I've played enough control to know that Grist is a pain in the ass. Oh, wow. Oh, sick. They now get to block my 0-1 with their 3-2 and just kill it. Pitching Supreme Verdict. All right, yeah, that was a pretty good exchange. I am still going to play Grist here. I can't force a negation this. Make a bug. The bug can try to fend off the Solitude long enough to do something else. That was one of those plays that you never want to make as the control player, but it's good to have in your pocket in exactly a situation like this, where you missed a land drop, you have some awkward cards in hand, and you have to get creative to take a lot of pressure off. We know that at least 4 of the cards in their hand right now are spells. Do I block? I think I do. I think Grist being at high loyalty is worth being down a bug. Overlord, we love it. Plus Grist. And I'm going to lead on Netherglyph. If they have Counterspell, I want to try to see if this is something they're worried about. Cool. Right. Impend a Barrel, another Overlord. Were they patient? Or do they not have it? They do have it. They were patient. Good patience. Play my Mortuary now. Malevolent Rumble. I think I like that card a lot. Now I have the bigger card again. My Overlord continues to impend. Uh-oh. 3rd mana. Now anything could happen. Prismatic Ending. Solid. I'm still going to tread water here with my bugs. I think I have inevitability, which feels weird to say versus a control deck. Okay, here is this Malevolent Rumble I just put on top. I'm going to rumble this. I found a Hexmage and a Boseiju. Love Hexmage. I'll take that. And then if I minus Grist now, they could kill my spawn in response. But if they spend mana, then I get to wake up Overlord. I think I'm actually just going to play Hexmage first and then minus Grist. And then I can have more decisions available. Okay, minus Grist. I would like to sacrifice my spawn. I would like to kill Solitude. And do I want to go for the big swing here? I think I do. Get after it. Something's happening. Leyline Binding. Powerful. Okay. Alright, that binding was going to bind something. I don't feel too bad about that. There's a Boseiju in my graveyard and an Eternal Witness in my hand. There's still missing land drops. I am going to cycle Troll in the end step. I understand I'm almost able to cast Troll, but I don't think that's actually where I want the game to go. I'm mildly concerned about decking myself, which feels weird to say, but I think is something I have to think about. Thoughtseize always a great draw versus any control deck ever. Leyline Binding in response. Okay. Counterspell, Spell Snare, Solitude. I think I take Solitude here, and I no longer care about counterspells after this exact moment in the game. Eternal Witness gets back Boseiju, and then Mortuary. Fatal Push is a nope, and past the turn, they would need something pretty specific to stop me now. I'm going to have a fully ready-to-party Overlord in an uncounterable fashion. And I'm bringing the sweet beats with Eternal Witness. Attack. Now I have a choice of, I could Boseiju this Leyline Binding now to cast one of the creatures in my hand, in my graveyard. Or I could just play Draw Go, knowing that I have access to the next one. I could also cast a Netherglyph from my graveyard. That actually sounds sick. I'm sure I can do this without losing card Delirium. Okay. A land, a sorcery, a creature, and an enchantment. Is this worth a counterspell to you? Probably have to. There's the counterspell. We've seen a Supreme Verdict in their deck already. I think I just want to play another... Oh, wait, no. That gives up the ability to instant speed this thing. No. I'm just going to pass. I think I want to get an attack before they can use sorcery speed removal. Yeah, I'm just going to pass. Would have been a reasonable spot to resolve a Grist as well. Island, that's land number 4. I'm about to feed them land number 5, which unlocks Solitude. They've already been through 2. There's Spell Snare and 1 unknown in the hand. Okay, Boseiju, the Leyline that is holding my Overlord. You get a Surveil. I get an Overlord. There's a Haywire Might. I'm going to get Emperor of Bones, because that could also be a Haywire Might, except it's also an Emperor of Bones. They dumped a Plains. Oh, Thoughtseize. Drew that right on time because they have Spell Snare in their hand for my Emperor of Bones. Something that I totally remembered before drawing Thoughtseize. Okay, Counterspell. That works. I just get this card right back. My card advantage is so off the chain right now. Go ahead, Spell Snare it. That's fine. It's basically just another Thoughtseize. Attack with my creatures. I would like to get back another, or this time I will get Haywire Might. It's fun because Haywire Might can answer Leyline Binding, or I could just cast the Grist that's already in my hand. Alright, I'm going to get this Grist that's under the Binding back, plus Grist, and pass it. Opponent's living off the top here. They got a lot to deal with. Okay, so this is a blue-white control deck that is splashing Domain for Leyline Binding. Alright, I'm just going to go to combat. Attack with all my creatures. I am down to 18 cards in my deck. Still feels like plenty to win the game, but I am aware that it's a pretty small number. I'm going to get Emperor of Bones. I believe in the bones. Grist is also ultimate next turn for 9 damage. I think I'm going to cast one of these Netherglyphs. No. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have them lethal with Grist, with Emperor, with my board through a single removal spell. I'm not going to just add more in case they do draw a sweeper. Okay, sweet. That was a lot of fun. Haywire Might coming in. That might be it. Though, once again, the Fatal Pushes look really bad and should probably all come out. Abrupt Decay could kill something like Teferi, I guess. I don't really like it. Soulless Jailer doesn't seem to do anything. Toxic Deluge, even worse than Fatal Push. Culling Ritual, not for what we're doing here. Alright, second enchantment. We found something with text. And this is like so cordy, but the sideboard map is lending me to it. One Surgical, just the value Surgical. I don't think they're really using their graveyard, but if they pitch an early Solitude, I could take them all. I don't know. I don't like it, but it's here and it's happening. My hand has a 1-drop and another 1-drop and a Bone Zone that doesn't go very far. I am going to keep this. It does literally apply pressure and do anything, has a little bit of counterplay in it. But it's my first hand without a Overlord of the Balemurk in it, and I feel so naked. Grist is a nice consolation prize. It's kind of like Overlord, except very slow and bad. Mighty 1/2 Nethergoyf. It's worth noting that they don't have Kahira as a companion, which means there are creatures in this deck other than elementals. It's not just like a Solitude deck. So maybe Snapcaster Mage? Or perhaps something far more obvious that I haven't thought of. But there's stuff in this deck other than Solitude. I feel like I'm about to be ended prismatically. And it was. Rumble. Ooh. I really like Rumble. I think I like Nethergoyf more. Because this Boseiju is such high value. And we've seen Spell Snare in their deck. Okay. I will keep the Marsh Flats. That lets me shoot a shot at Grist without losing the Boseiju value to deal with the future ley lines. And they just want land go. I could cast Grist. I think I want to Rumble. Rumble might be scary enough to counter, and even if it's countered, it still deals extra damage this turn because that's a sorcery now. Nice. All right, I'll take Overlord to my hand. I put a lot of juice in the bin, and now I'm going to play Overlord still pre-combat. This one's definitely worth a counterspell, if the last one wasn't. My hand's full of bangers. Yep, okay. And now in for 5. Pretty exciting turn. Like I said, they don't stay 1-2 very long at this deck. This might be the best Nethergoyf deck I've played, ever. Wrath of the Skies. Goodbye, Nethergoyf. I'll see you soon. They have tapped out, which gives me clean runway to Grist. Or, is that the best thing I can even do? I could just Bone Zone hit with an Emperor of the Bale, or a Overlord of the Balemurk right now. I think that's better. That's just more cards and more damage. And getting these damage chip shots in is really nice. Because you don't know when you're going to get another chance to swing for 5 and draw 2 cards. I would like to get back this Nethergoyf to my hand and attack. This time I'd like... There's Eternal Witness, Troll of Khazad-dûm, Grist are my options. Eternal Witness. I can Eternal Witness back Thoughtseize. And this rules. I'm having so much fun with this deck. If this is what the Orzhov Blade deck feels like, I'd probably like that deck too. Prismatic Ending on a card that already dealt 5 and drew 2. These are the exchanges we're looking for, team. Or I could just rip a Thoughtseize. Don't even need to witness for it. Okay, handful of white removal is respectable. Solitude is the card here I'm most worried about. Respectfully, no thank you. Grist, get to work. I'm going to hold this Boseiju. I have Pick Your Poison too, but yeah, Leyline Binding is both not castable. Okay, there we go. They solved all their problems. It is now castable, but it is not actually a good answer to what I'm doing because I have cards in my hand that beat it. Okay, Binding. Doing it now. Oh. This doesn't have haste, does it? I don't think so. No. All right. You can pop End Step, though. The back side of a card, the mana value is the front side of the card, unless otherwise specified. So this is a 2-drop creature. Okay. Each opponent sacrifices an enchantment of their choice. Which one will you choose? Good choice. Attack. I think I'm going to Eternal Witness here. Go for the Thoughtseize. I don't have an Overlord because I used it already. Short-term burst on that energy. But I'll rebuy this Thoughtseize and set up a turn. This will probably draw out the Supreme Verdict because they're in a lot of trouble. Okay, finding a land means they could Wrath of the Skies instead if they want to save Supreme Verdict. But they don't get either of them because I have Thoughtseize. Okay, X equals 3. This does not kill Grist. I think... Oh no, I had a 3-drop creature. I was about to say I think they thought it did kill Grist, but no, they don't think that. Okay, Thoughtseize you. Take that last card. Opponent's living off the top. Fetch. Basic Forest. And I'm going to tutor myself a Hexmage. Hexmage is in play. My opponent is facing down lethal damage from my dinosaur and lethal damage from Grist's ultimate. They have to solve both those problems with one card right now. And it's being tapped. Memory Deluge. I doubt that's going to be the one. Cool. I mean, that was a pretty heavy kicking. If I were to design a deck from scratch to beat blue-white control, it might actually look like this one. That was pretty rough. But another great showcase of our deck. GG's opponent. Cool deck, though. I love counterspell blue-white control decks. On to the next one.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I am on the play in round 3. I'm going to keep this hand. Thoughtseize plus Troll of Khazad-dûm is enough for me to keep a hand on the strength of. I have Invasion. I can invade for 0 and then just Hexmage it. I also just have the Overlord. It's awkward that I would really like to curve out the Overlord, but I also want to Thoughtseize my opponent. Maybe I don't care about Thoughtseize. Okay, I'm actually going to commit to my own plan here, because if this is like Boros Energy or something like that, I would rather get my Overlord cranking. And if it's Breach, Thoughtseizing them later might be better than Thoughtseizing them now, actually. A Sacred Foundry. And a Ragavan. Okay. Cycle Troll. Swamp. They're going to get to hit me with Rag, but I'm going to turn around and bash their head with Overlord. Use the ability, get back Troll. It's not much of a card, but it is literally a card. Alright, Ragavan, don't hurt me too bad. Don't flip my Haywire Might. Flipped Overlord the Balemurk. Yeah, that card's really good. They should probably cast it. Cool. Alright. They did not mill over a Flage, but they do have Seasoned Pyromancer and Ocelot Pride, including probably the ability to cast Ocelot Pride. Oh, they were on a 1-lander. That's nice. I'll take that at least. Then they discarded Flage to hand size. Just speed running this game. Okay, Thoughtseize you. I want to know what's going on over there. All spells. That is how this works. Galvanic Discharge. Do I want to let Ragavan hit me again? I don't have to. I could just post Vampire Hexmage up. There's a second Rag, a Guide of Souls, but no energy. Ocelot Pride is not doing... They're not gaining life. I think I'm most worried about this Guide of Souls out of this hand. And then I'll fetch for my Swamp, and I'll play Vampire Hexmage, but I'm not going to bust it. I have a First Striker in front of their stupid Ragavan, and if they Galvanic Discharge, I'll sack Hexmage to activate the Overlord, and then I still have a blocker for Ragavan. Finding a Plains here is a little annoying, but I still have the situation under control. Next turn I can tutor out an 8/8, and then just be bigger than them. There's the Pride. No attack. I don't have to make a decision on this Hexmage. It's not like I need to wake up the Overlord now or anything. Another Thoughtseize. I don't think I want that. I think I want to invade Ikoria. And if they think killing Hexmage in response to this will stop the 8/8, it's just not how anything works. I will search my library for another Hexmage. Yeah, I think I'd rather... I could go to the Bone Zone, actually. That would eat Flage. No, it wouldn't, because that... Yeah, I'm not going to give them a good target for Galvanic Discharge. They do have a First Strike creature, so I'm not going to attack. I'm going to set up a big next turn. That's my plan. Because my creatures will deal damage as if they're not blocked. I could just hit for 13. No questions asked. Bombardment's fine. 2/1 First Strike. So sick. Just insane combat object. The first piece of Power 9 I ever owned, I won in a tournament where I played Mono Black Dark Times in Vintage. And the 2-1 first strike was pretty serious throughout the entire Vintage tournament. Boom, 8-8 in your end step. Zilothra has arrived, the apex of Ikoria. Nice little cat you've got there. It would be a shame if a dinosaur stepped on it. They don't want to play it no more. All right, Coloring Ritual, Toxic Deluge. Pick your poison's not worthless, but I probably don't want it. I like the sweepers. Haywire Might can answer stuff like Blood Moon or the Goblin Bombardment. Coloring Ritual is just like all their cards are gone. Abrupt Decay is generic removal spells if I think that's what I need. I think I actually don't want to play Thoughtseize at all against this opponent, and I want a large number of removal in. I think I'm going to shave an Invasion just because I want a little more early impact. Probably not room for this extra Haywire Might and Abrupt Decay. I'll go with my sweepers and then let the value do the talking. Sweet, let's go. I have a bunch of main deck graveyard hate. Don't need the Surgicals here for Flage or Pyromancer or anything. Okay, the control hand, I'm in. The Rag, again. I'm going to fetch a basic Swamp and then pass, and I'm going to push Ragavan in their combat step so they can't dash the second one in. Push. We even have Boggart Troller here for the Flage. Ooh, blue mana revealed. Glad I didn't get Spell Pierced. Right, Goblin Bombardment, another thing that dies to Coloring Ritual. Or the Beseiju that's in my hand already. Basic Forest, so I don't have to worry about getting Blood Mooned, though my opponent reveals they're a 3-color deck. I'm less worried about that in general. Slurp up that Ragavan. They're fetching land number 3. This could be Flage to kill my Bone Zone. It is indeed. And they fling Flage for the extra point of damage. Rumble. I'm not in a hurry to deal with this Flage. They would need to get 2 more cards in their graveyard. Or 3 more. They would have to fetch and then come up with 2 more cards. I think I'm going to spend this turn rumbling. Found an Overlord, that's what I'm always looking for. And fetch the other basic Swamp. And impen this Overlord, who at least has an Emperor of Bones to rebuy. It's just Emperor of Bones. I hit another Overlord and a bunch of non-creatures. But I am doing it here. Ocelot Pride. That's another thing that dies to Coloring Ritual. If I need to, call. Okay. I'm going to play Beseiju as a land. Then I'm going to play Emperor of Bones. This does open up the possibility of a removal spell before I move into combat, but then I can push the Ocelot Pride and we're just back. And if I can slurp up this Flage, free and easy. I like it. Okay, they are zapping this. I can adapt it and just make a 4/4. Yeah, then this doesn't kill this anymore. They can put 3 energy in the bank. And I still get to exile something at the beginning of combat. So they would have to spend the 3 energy and sack their Ocelot Pride if they want to keep Flage. Or have a second removal spell. Okay, they did put the 3 damage on, so they must be willing to spend the thing here. That does get them directly into Flage, who I can kill with Fatal Push. But yeah, that was a good exchange. I like that. I didn't even think about being able to adapt it in response to a lightning bolt until it was happening. So here I have to fade Arena of Glory. And I have Malevolent Rumble, so Revolt is already covered. I don't need to like rip a fetch land or anything to deal with Flage. It's covered. Dumped another Bombardment. And still impending. 3 turns from now, you're going to have big problems. Unless I draw a Hexmage before then. Looks like they're just playing Flage. There's no Arena involved. Meticulous Archive from hand. Dump the Guide of Souls. All right. Grist. That's another answer. I'm going to use all my green to rumble. My plan is mostly black cards here. Okay, another Emperor of Bones. Literally perfect. I will take the Emperor of Bones. Sack the Eldrazi spawn. Fatal Push the Flage. Use my mana for Xaxes to play the Emperor of Bones and eat the Flage. Dealing 1 to me on the way out. That's fine. A fair trade to make. Bone Zone. Enter combat. Slurp up that Flage. Give me that. Maybe with Bone Zone active, I should have played the Boggart as a tapped land that turn. Debating, but I think it's reasonable. Okay, Flage just dies because it wasn't escaped if I put it in. Okay, opponents had enough. All right, I was about to go into the Overlord zone. And another Clade win, keep the party rolling. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I'm on the play in round 4 with another Overlord Hexmage keep. I'm in. I'm going to play Marsh Flats here with the intention of fetching the Mortuary, but if I have to Fatal Push something, I can get basic and do that. Okay, Mortuizing. I don't think there's a card that gets played that can answer Overlord of the Balemurk for 1 blue or black mana. Spell Pierce doesn't do it, Stern Scolding doesn't do it, Spell Snare, none of the above. I don't think they've printed a 1 mana remove soul yet. Oh, a Null would get this. If someone has a Null in their main deck, they deserve it. Looks like we're just playing against the Oculus Murktide deck, though. Ooh, Invasion. I'll keep that. I'll put that in the bank for the second wave if I need it. And Overlord. I spiked a Troll of Khazad-dûm. Lost the Thoughtseize, a card that I'm very interested in this matchup, but that's okay. The curve of Overlord into Thoughtseize U plus Hexmage is nasty. We consider, kept the card. Kind of hope they do just dump a Psychic Frog here. Maybe Fatal Push and go off. Okay. Very likely they have a counterspell here. I think I'm going to offer them Grist, as this one is good enough if it resolves, and it's not a heartbreaker if it doesn't, and it's tempting enough that they probably would fight over it if they could, and that didn't happen. Good news. If they pivot and this is some sort of combo deck, that would get me. But now this Grist represents an answer to an Oculus or a Murktide or a Psychic Frog or anything just on board. Free the Fae. Okay, so they're up to something. They now have Counterspell in their hand and an Oculus in the graveyard. If they set me up for Unearth with Counterspell backup, that was a perfect picklock prankster. But Grist still answers that. Okay, Unearth. Successful. You get to do this thing. And I'm going to minus Grist. Do I want to play Hexmage first? What's better for me? I'm just thinking if they Fatal Push. All right, I'm going to go for it. If they Fatal Push my bug, it taps them out of Counterspell. All right, that just didn't happen. None of that happened. They still have a Manifest in play. I have to deal with this. I'm going to push it. If they counterspell this push, like if this is something worth protecting, like a second Oculus, there's a Darkslick Shores. And, okay. I've danced around it enough. Let's see that counterspell. I have the Invasion to go again next turn. Oh, we're Esper. Fun. Okay. There's counterspell. You got me. And past the turn, Overlord ticks down. They can cast Oculus from this position. And they did. All right, Cycle Troll. Get another Mortuary. Born Oculus. Doing its thing. Emperor of Bones. Well, that's busted. Okay. Emperor of Bones. Begin combat. Exile your Oculus. Level this up. Combat. Now they can trade Oculi with me, or I can sack their Oculus. Second main. All right, blow that up. And play my Mortuary. Dump Marsh Flats. I think I feel good about that exchange. Maybe if I get like in Overlord, it's the same thing, but I draw a card. Yeah, maybe taking their Oculus was missed a little bit of the value that was available to me there. Because in my head, I was like, I'll get that out of their graveyard, which I did do, but it traded with another Oculus that ends up back in the graveyard anyway. If they have more reanimates, they're going to have more targets. Pest Control, milled that one away. Exactly enough for a third Oculus. Fatal Push, okay. It's a good one to have. And Murktide Regent, 8/8 creature. Vampire Hexmage can remove the counters from that. Oh, well, here's a Hexmage straight up. I was going to say Invasion can get Grist, but I wouldn't have a creature to sacrifice. That's still true, because this costs 1 million. I don't have a Ravenous Chupacabra in the deck. I can play Invasion for a Hexmage and get and cast the Hexmage from my hand. And there's a Hexmage in my graveyard already. I could get that one. I can also enter the Bone Zone. I don't think that matters. Okay. I'm gonna invade for 2. And I'm gonna get this Hexmage back from my graveyard. And I'm gonna play Hexmage from my hand. And then I'm gonna wake up Overlord and attack. And if they block, I'll kill their Murktide. Yes, and I would like to get back another Vampire Hexmage. They're taking the block. Zoop. I'll have those, please. Vampire Hexmage doing the most. Okay. What's under that manifest? What's in your hand? Getting some really cool techie trades here. This Nurturing Peatland still sitting here in my mana base can be a card if it needs to be. Unearth. Okay, Oculus is back again. They're still manifesting. Manifest trigger. Haywire Might. That doesn't do anything here. I'm going to draw a card with Peatland first. Another Overlord. That doesn't immediately help. I guess I'd like to know if Hexmage resolves before I make any additional decisions. Freeing the Fae in response. Found Spell Snare. God, the nuts. Playing your outs like a boss. Good job, opponent. Alright, that's snared. Now I'm going to attack. I could be attacking my battle, but their life total's pretty low. I'm just going to grab Hexmage again. Is this worth an Oculus? Is it worth a chump block with a manifest? It is worth the Oculus to them. Love that. Do I want to just make an 8/8? Do I think that is the best use of my time? Or should I Overlord again? These are some creatures there. Okay. I'm going to play the 2/1 that can brick these manifests. When you end a battle, it casts the backside. So this is open to counterspell right now. Okay, attacking with both manifests. I'm just going to kind of pick one at random to block. First strike damage. I wonder if they thought it was worth it after considering it, or if they forgot it had first strike. Can't actually know the answer to that question in real life. Okay, I am not going to go for the invasion. I am going to go for this double Overlord. Just can never get enough of this guy. Big Overlord stand in this house. I resolved. Got Troll of Khazad-dûm, Emperor of Bones, Grist. And another Hexmage. I'll just keep the Hexmages rolling. Deploy another one of these. And put Haywire Might in just as a source of life gain. This 1/3 Vigilance. Ruling the skies, dominating the battlefield. Okay, I'm going to respond to this cycle with making my Dinosaur. They're currently tapped out of counterspells. Give me that. Roar! Okay, that is Fatal Pushable, but that would work anytime. At least I played it past a counterspell. Okay, Fatal Push, you got me. I tried so hard and got so far. Right, they're pranking my pick locks. Oh no, another Oculus. This is the 4th one. That's a lot of Oculi. Okay, you get to manifest. The Seiju does not seem helpful. I'm at 6 life. And I'm definitely doing this. Wake up the Overlord. And attack. What do I got here? Hexmage, Emperor of Bones, more Hexmages. I think I just want to keep getting Hexmages. And Grist is here. Grist is actually really good. Alright, I want Grist. And what kind of blocks are we going to get out of this? No blocks is the answer. Grist from the top rope. Sacrifice my Haywire Might, gain 2 life, kill the Oculus. And I'm going to play Boseiju as a land, and then play this Overlord. Decking myself becoming a real possibility here. Did I hit a Nethergoyf? Has there been one at all? I play 4 of those. Yeah, just literally no Nether... Oh no, I did find one. Got there. That's exactly the card I was looking for. Drop a 7/8 onto this board. Okay, 15 cards left in my deck. Opponents at 5. All my creatures are lethal. But if they could just block long enough, I won't be able to attack with Overlord anymore. Even activating Grist at this point is risky. This game has been awesome, though. This deck lends itself to amazing games. Fatal Push, you got it. Psychic Frog, all right. That card is good. It is currently not the most exciting. And they're... Oh, that was flipped face up. Never mind. That is very exciting. I thought they cast it, but nope. It being able to attack right now is insane. Okay, you get to draw a card. And now a removal spell wins. Ah, fudge. Another Goyf from the graveyard doesn't win. I guess I have to attack. At least make the block happen. Go to 10 cards in my deck. Get back one of these sicko creatures. I'm at 4 life. I guess I'm just dead to Psychic Frog if I don't do anything else about that. And the thing I can do about that is Grist. Or Hexmage can take the counters off Psychic Frog. LOL. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I think it's Hexmage. Just always the answer. Literally always the answer. Vampire Hexmage. We have a forced block here. And then second main, I have some Nether Goyfs I can cast. I'm going to cast the Hexmage first. Hope they don't have Spell Snare in their 2-card hand. Oh my god, they do. Well, I'm dead now. That had to work. I guess I can give them the opportunity to make a mistake, but it's pretty easy to just attack with Psychic Frog. It does not take a rocket scientist to figure that out. Okay, passing the turn and hoping they don't know how to build rockets. That was like 4 or 5 Abhorrent Oculi and relevant 1-mana interaction at every point it needed to happen, and it's still super close. Oh my god, they gave it flying. They know how this works. Okay. Are you willing to discard your hand? I have Fatal Push, I have Fatal Push, I have Fatal Push. Could you imagine? They could probably count my graveyard that all 4 Fatal Pushes are there. I don't even know if that's true, but it seems accurate. Okay. Really sweet game, even though we lost it. Which, frankly, is bullshit. A Surgical Extraction actually does look good enough here. Abrupt Decay, exciting. I think that's all I want to do. I could see Toxic Deluge being reasonable. I don't like Culling Ritual. It doesn't kill the things it needs to. Haywire Might does not seem important. Bogger Trawler's insane. Go for the Throat's insane. Thoughtseize is really good. Oh, do I have 4 cuts? Grist was pretty wonky. I think having 1 to tutor is right, but it's not a matchup where just grinding bugs into play is exciting. Shaving an Invasion of Ikoria always seems okay to me. Maybe I just play 1 Surgical. I'm just out of cards I want to cut. I like the rest of what's going on here. Let's do it. I just have enough Graveyard Hate and removal that I don't think Surgical Extraction is better than one of these cards that's intentionally in my deck. And Pick Your Poison kills flying creatures. Do I need more removal? I'm not convinced that's what I need here. I would cut an Invasion if I was going to do that. All right, I will bring in 1 Pick Your Poison. Just a little more to take the edge off the cheese mode. I like this hand just fine. I'll keep it. And I'm just going to play Mortuary and pass. Have a peek. I like Abrupt Decay. The Shores. I am going to fetch a basic Swamp and Rumble here. Rumble builds a bunch of resources both in my graveyard and my hand, where Emperor's not doing anything right now. Spell Snare anyway, that's fine. If Emperor exiles literally anything from their graveyard, even if it's not a creature, I'm cool with that. Psychic Frog is in. Fatal Push, cool. That lets me do 2 things. Fatal Push, and if they have Force Negation, I'll just blow them out with the second removal spell. And I think I want to get my Forest here. Harbinger of the Seas is a card that Murktide plays. Their 3-color build might not have room for it. I don't really know. All right, take that Frog. And drawing cheap interaction is sweet. I thought I was going to have to spend a whole turn killing that thing, but instead, I did 2 things. Okay, I'm going to play this Verdant Catacombs. I'm going to move to combat. Exile Spell Snare from their graveyard. And I am going to make Psychic Frog right now. This draws a card and deals extra damage. Let's just push it. Push the advantage. Attack. An Emperor of Bones that draws a card is nice. And it finds Overlord of the Balemurk too. I'll play the Overlord. they're representing Counterspell, but their deck also has Free the Fae and other things they'd like to do with 2 mana if I don't make them counter me. And sometimes my spell just resolves too, which is even better. Okay, consigning the pickup trigger deal. Psychic Frog's out of here. Emperor of Bones remains a 4/4 with passive Graveyard Hate attached. And my Overlord is impending. What a great name for that mechanic. Just accurately describes what's happening. They dumped a Murktide Regent under City Sewers. If they have a second Murktide, they could play it as a 4/4 right now. If this mills a spell, they could play it as a 5/5. Psychic Frog, and they didn't reanimate it. Move into combat. Exile the Psychic Frog. I'd rather turn off Unearth than make their Murktide 1 point smaller with my Graveyard Hate right now. All right, the Bone Zone just going coast to coast here. And they've had enough. Sick. Well, that was a stern kicking. My removal's in that I want to play. Don't want more Graveyard Hate. Soulless Jailer does play here. It turns off Unearth, but so does all of my other interaction. All right. Yeah, I don't want Soulless Jailer. I like this hand. Good interaction. I kind of hope they do mill themselves into a quick calculus and get blown out by Surgical. Watery Grave. Does this mean I'm getting Thoughtseized? All right. Thoughtseize is fine. My hand is well-rounded. This doesn't really collapse any specific angle of it. Took Fatal Push. Okay. So that means they're probably trying to follow up with a Psychic Frog. My plan is to fetch the Mortuary and try to do something useful here. Hexmage actually just beats Psychic Frog in combat unless they're willing to jump it. Because I can block, put first strike damage on the Frog, and then sack the Hexmage, and there's no sequence of timing. There's no timing window where you can discard cards and keep Frog alive. And this card does everything. Mr. Toots is onto something. Frog's in. Mortuary. And I'd rather just see a Fatal Push or a Abrupt Decay or something than have to do Hexmage tricks and hope they don't have a removal spell and hope they don't jump the Frog. I don't want Marsh Flats. Hand's already full of lands. Hey! Fatal Push your Psychic Frog. Always had it. And Overgrown Tomb. I will zap it in because Troll of Khazad-dûm's in my hand. Okay. We have played into Counterspell here, but let's keep getting cards out of that hand. I wasn't going to proactively Surgical just in case they don't, or just in case they have Counterspell. That's not how that works. Right, good cards. Emperor of Bones. Are you good? Not as good as Hexmage, but I can double spell if I rumble into the Bone Zone. That does not answer Psychic Frog, though. But the Hexmage is even a maybe. All right, I'm going to play Swamp and Rumble. I think I'm just going to have to live with Psychic Frog in my life for a minute or two. Nethergoyf, land, go for the throat, tragically disappearing. I will take this Nethergoyf, and I'll play the Emperor of Bones. And I'm going to start attacking their graveyard. I'm going to exile Counterspell. Undercity Sewer puts exactly 6 cards in the graveyard if they have Oculus. Okay, the Fatal Push. The Emperor, part of Emperor's job was to draw out cards like Fatal Push. But Frog is doing its dirty business right now. Cycle for the other basic. Play Nethergoyf. Play Hexmage. And maybe I could just win a damage race from here. And the Nethergoyf means they have to jump the Frog anyway, and I'm not going to be able to get to trick them with Hexmage. But they do use their graveyard with many of the deck's core engines. Jumping the Frog is a pretty big cost. Or they could just cast Oculus right now and not attack with Frog this turn. My nightmare. Okay, I'm not ready for this. Okay, back to Oculizing, and now I need a big rip. Oh no, that's not it. I guess I should Mortuary now, because my deck does play Nethergoyf. And I could actually get a card off of this. Oh, well, there's Overlord. One moment too late. Alright, I think I'm cooked at this point. It was close until now. Pushing the Goyf. Bringing the Fae. Find Spell Snare. It's not currently relevant, but many of my good cards do care about that. And they're giving the Frog flying. All right. If they're willing to jump their Frog in this spot, I'm not going to win. Overlord's on top. And yeah, they got through just a little too much. Great match, though. On to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in the final round, positive records locked, playing for the bread and butter 4-1. Hand's got interaction, selection, and something that's kind of a threat. I'm in. Opponent went to 6. Marsh Flats, it's the mirror. It's my exact deck. Ooh, okay. Well, that makes things a little more interesting. I am going to fetch, so my Goyf has at least 1 toughness. I don't want to just lose a Goyf to a Orcish Bowmaster. That could have been avoided. Or Renin 6 or something. Some super embarrassing thing. Shadowy Backstreet. Okay. Are we battling against the Orzhov Sewer deck? Are we in the Overlord of the Balemurk mirror? Up lanes, here we go. And they're murking it. They hit Felia, Emperor of Bones, and Solitude. All good hits. They took back Solitude, okay. The race is on. We have Basic. Do I want to play this Basic? I think I want to play the Overgrown too. My deck is pretty black heavy. Rumble. Well, that's 4 lands. Great. I guess I'll take Boseiju. My Nethergoyf got 1 point bigger. That was supposed to be an attack for 5. Boseiju can kill Overlord, though, anytime. It's always an enchantment. Even when it's a creature, it's an enchantment. Kept their card on top with Backstreet. The Bone Zone. That's really good, actually. Forest, Emperor of Bones. I'm putting this in. They do use their graveyard. I do like having their creatures. I'll take their Emperor of Bones. We can have a bone pile full of bones. And I'm leaving a Fatal Push in case they have a Felia here. Can't let them have their combo online. Ephemerate smokes me here. Disappointing. This is definitely a play someone would make who has Ephemerate. And Solitude costs 5. Can't push that one. All right, my Goyf is gone. How much else is gone? Everything's gone. Sure, fair enough. Taking my Bone Zone. Ephemerate can exile my spawn, or they can decline it and just attack. All right, they're going for the full Monty here. All right. I will take this opportunity to Boseiju, their Overlord. This does give them mana this turn, but they did Surveil to the top. This is a shuffle situation. Now I'm in the Bone Zone, but I don't have any creatures. So you can have a big swing with Overlord here. And they flipped over another Felia or 2 Witch Enchanters. So they can have a Felia or a Witch Enchanter off of this. Took Felia. Round 2. Recruiter of the Guard. That's happening. I think I've lost this one. We've queued into the more focused, higher nut draw version of the mirror match. And they had the Overlord and the combo, and I didn't. I'm just going to scoop here before they see more of my deck. I could play this on, but they have the Recruiter, they have the Felia. I'm not going to beat that. Let's be real. Abrupt Decay I like. Probably Toxic Deluge. Not Soulless Jailer. They do have Aether Vial, but that's not enough for Collector Roof. That's enough for the one Haywire might I play. How many Deluges do I want to play? Deluge is good if I'm behind, but bad if I'm ahead. Wrist is pretty underwhelming here, I think. Thoughtseize is good sometimes, but bad other times. I think I'm going to back off Thoughtseize just a little bit. Back off Invasion just a little bit. I like Fatal Push, I like Nethergoyf, I like my removal, I like the Bone Zone. An Invasion could just be a big cheese mode. That's a nut draw angle that I have that they don't, but their deck's really good at just pushing back against aggression. That's kind of the whole point of the deck. Okay, I'm going to go down to 1 Invasion. Okay, this hand has the Nethergoyf action again. I have the Boggart Trawler. This is going to hurt because I have to get all... I need black mana, and I need to zap in this Boggart Trawler unless I draw another untapped land. Aether Vial. That also interacts with Vampire Hexmage. Okay, cool. We dodged. I can activate Hexmage in response to them tapping Aether Vial, and then they'd have to put in a 0. Okay. 2 removal spells in the bin. I'll take Basic Swamp, and I'll attack for 3. Get this damage rolling. Okay, there, Boggart came in tapped. Coward. Another Nethergoyf. I'm going to use my spawn here to cast Rumble. A third Nethergoyf. This is a plan, right? Okay, Goyf is 3/4. I can attack, play out 2 more of them, and then play Hexmage and removal and just try to Delver them out. Nethergoyf's going. Fatal Push. Alright, that's fine. Got more where that came from. And we almost make up that damage immediately because these attack for +2 because there's 2 of them and there's a creature dead now. And that was going to deal 3 damage. Okay, this is the moment of truth. Can they put enough in front of me? Can they ephemerate a Solitude right now? If they ephemerate Solitude right now, I'm dead. But if they let me on tap even where Go for the Throat can break up the ephemerate, then I feel good. If I can resolve Vampire Hexmage before they do anything else, I feel good about that. Okay, they did just pass back with no additional action. I'm going to lead on Hexmage and see if they see the interaction in time. Like, if they're going to Violent a 2-drop, they have to do it now. Cool. Attack for 8. Have another Fatal Push, sure. We can also tread water this way. I'm going to zap in Boggart Bog and play one of these Graveyard Nethergoyfs. This does open the shields to spamming a Solitude, but I think if they had that, they would have done it last turn. I do have to exile one of the Nethergoyfs to get the other one back, unfortunately. Just haven't milled over many creatures yet. But I'll get that right back when they tap their Aether Vial and I sack my Hexmage. Zoop. They may have just tapped that as baiting me into sacking my Hexmage, but either way, that Vial going back to 1 here is a big deal. Okay, so they have a Flicker Wisp, flickering Boggart Trawler into a land. That's really good. Now my creatures are shitty again. And they're both gonna be shitty. They don't have to be. I mean, I can get instants into my graveyard. Right, I'm gonna decay the Aether Vial. Get that out of the way. And I'm gonna kill Boggart Trawler. I don't want them flickering that one. And if they want to trade Flicker Wisp for this, that grows the other Goyf. Starting to run out of resources here, though. That Flicker was really nice. Okay, passed it back. I do not have a land in the graveyard yet. I'm going to fetch right now. Get Mortuary. Dump another land in the graveyard. I don't have enough card types to get my other Nethergoyf back. Alright, Felly is happening. They could get some real dumb stuff going right now. Backstreet. That had to be their draw because they've missed multiple land drops this turn. Or this game. Dumped an extra land. No longer interested in lands. Ah, fudge. Alright, well. Basically dead. I'll take one more draw and then I'll concede. We've got Witch Enchanter, Flicker Wisp, Boggart Trawler in the graveyard. And then they'll have a 5/5 blocker. I have to draw something that immediately answers Overlord to keep pushing damage. They just milled over a Solitude. Now it doesn't even matter. I think I'm on no outs. I'll look at one more card and then I'll concede. Well, it's not good, but it does let me at least push slightly forward. They should just Solitude the Emperor. That sucks, though. If they didn't mill over a Solitude on that second hit, the Emperor actually would have won the game here. Just take Flicker Wisp, flicker out the Overlord, attack for lethal. Okay. They are letting me get to targets. Now they probably realize they have to Solitude. Okay, there it is. And they are exiling my Emperor of Bones. I could adapt it to gain 2 more life, but it doesn't matter. The game's over. Yeah, that's Solitude. Too good. This match, there's a flavor text on Snapping Drake from Portal. And it reads, Drakes claim to be dragons until the dragons show up. And I feel like I'm a Drake and this is a dragon right now. All League, I was like, wow, is this what Orzhov Sewer feels like? And then we pair into Orzhov Sewer and it just dominated us, just way better at the exact same game plan. Good to know. Positive record, though. Really good games all around. I feel like I was making a lot of decisions and the high rolls were really high. Mr. Toots, I think you did a great job constructing a fun meta-adjacent deck here. But I think rather than convincing me that this is what to do, I think it convinced me that Orzhov Blake is awesome. And maybe I should try that deck because I think I'd really like it. But Overlord of the Balemurk just does everything. This deck, the games where I had an early Overlord, felt amazing. The games where I never drew an Overlord, I felt like just the worst deck. Like old traditional The Rock in present day modern. Like Thoughtseize, play another Goyf that we hope is a 3/4 or bigger, and maybe cast a Fatal Push and then wait for death. Versus Overlord looking at 10 plus cards a turn, going everything. The two modes of this deck are really, really disparate from each other. And the Malevolent Rumble, of course, helps find more Overlords, but it doesn't feel like enough. Like if I get Thoughtseized and they strip an Overlord, then it's like, what am I even doing? I guess what I'm doing then is Invasion of Ikoria. This deck is sweet. It has a lot of depth, but it is a worse version of an existing meta deck. But if you like Golgari cards, if you enjoy playing with Invasion of Ikoria and the Vampire Hexmage, shout out to her. I think I targeted 8 or 10 different things with Vampire Hexmage throughout this league, and they were all relevant. I killed a Murktide Region, I reset an Aether Vial, I killed a Planeswalker. Just lots of cool stuff to be doing with a Vampire Hexmage. That is a draw to this deck. If you like this sort of card, if you like fun, techie little dopes that both enable your deck and might line up against other stuff. This is kind of like dress down Dreadnought decks in Legacy, or dress down Null Drifter decks in Modern, where dress down and Stifle and Consigned to Memory are just cards you can play anyway, but then they enable something in your deck too. Vampire Hexmage really scratched that itch here. Mr. Toots, this was awesome. Thank you for sharing it with us. I genuinely had so much fun playing this. Everybody else, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon. I'll see you next time.